Good evening. Welcome to LoveLogical, DNA Not Required. This is Michelle L. Anderson, coming to you live from Podcast Detroit, Royal Oak Studios. We are looking forward to intriguing and entertaining you every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Let me start today's show by saying thank you for joining our family, which is biological by nature, LoveLogical by choice, DNA Not Required. Well, hello, everyone. This is Michelle L. Anderson coming to you tonight from, as it said, the Podcast Detroit Royal Oak Studios. I have a wonderful, energetic guest in the house tonight, and she has her hubby along with her. I have the great, wonderful, I'm going to say author. I'm going to say spoken word poet. I'm going to say artist. I'm talking about the girl can do some art. I'm talking about as far as painting and everything, all types of art. There's nothing she can't do. And I am also going to say she is a racial activist. She wants to make sure that we all understand that we are family. DNA not required.
Amen.
This whole United States, it don't matter what our color is, what our religion is, what our ethnicity is. When it comes down to it, we are one big extended family. And that's one of the things, Alicia Davis, what makes me love her so much is because she truly understands and embraces my DNA not required, because we are of one heart.
Amen.
We are on one heart when it comes to making sure that this world is a better place. And her better half, Mr. Ben Davis, who got his own school in Indianapolis. Now, there's a Ben Davis High School in Indianapolis.
All right now.
Mr. Ben Davis, right here by her side. When Alicia's performing, he's right there. When she needs him, to perform on stage too. You perform too, but you're also in the background.
Yes.
Yes, he does a lot of stuff in the background. He is truly a rock, a man, a husband, a child of God, everything you could think of. There's not enough that you could say positive from what I have learned about her husband.
Thank you.
Amen.
So, yes. So,
closer to your microphones, please, people.
Yes.
let's. He says yes. As you all can see, those of you who are seeing and others listening, who can see the big smile. Who can listen can hear the big smile, because it's always there. She always has joy on her face. Is she always like this, Ben?
Yes.
Yes, always has joy on her face. So you can't be in the same room and not feel joy,
Thank you, Lord.
because it radiates.
Woo!
It radiates.
Now.
Bubbly lady.
It does.
Yes.
Thank you, Lord.
Okay, so I want to ask, how old were you when you first decided that, okay, this is me. I am an artistic person. I have creativity, and I want to use it.
Short answer, I was age 24.
Oh, wow.
And, but I have been writing poetry since elementary school.
Mm-hmm.
So in my mind, it was a hobby, just a little something I did to cope with a lot of the trauma I was going through as a child.
Mm-hmm.
And even though I received encouragement from time to time, I did not take it seriously as my calling until I was 24 years old.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, she had somebody tell her, our old minister of music.
Yes.
Said, this is really good. Because she was just doing it for her own therapeutic, she was, she was just doing poetry for herself.
Mm-hmm.
And she wasn't sharing it until she was provoked by somebody who actually heard some of it and said, you need to share this. And she was like,
Yes.
Yeah, because I mean, I knew it was helpful because it was helping to heal myself. But it wasn't until one day I shared it with this lady from my church, which was a God thing anyway, because like I said, for over 16 years, I wasn't sharing it on a regular basis. When I was in elementary school, I did go to a city council meeting and share poetry about violence prevention to the city council. But I just thought they did it because I was youth, just a young person. They want to, people believe the children are our future. So I just thought I was representing my generation. I didn't know I was really going as a poet. And then in high school, I was featured in one of the local papers. But I just thought, it just happened to be a good poem, I still didn't think that it was bigger than just something for me to cope until that day when she said, you should share it with someone else. So I shared it with someone else, and then they received a breakthrough.
Okay.
And I was looking like, what? So then I started sharing it with more people, and I started seeing more people get delivered and just find peace and healing. And I'm like, Lord, this is not a hobby. So it's a longer story in how I just accepted that it was a divine assignment.
Okay.
To help others heal. So yeah.
Wow. Wow. So 24. And see, the thing is, I'm shocked because usually you hear, oh, I was 2,
Yeah.
I was this. So it took you to 24 before you truly realized. And that was the poetic side.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
What about the artistic side that writes plays and that writes skits or that's painting on canvas? And things like that. Where did she come out? When did she come out?
Lord have mercy. Okay, I need at least 5 minutes to tell this story.
Okay, we're listening.
Okay.
Y'all got time, don't you? Yeah, you do. You listening.
Okay, so you know how humility can take you a long way, right?
Yes.
I learned that this day. So I told you that I was 24 when I started sharing my poetry professionally, when I actually started telling people I'm a spoken word poet. So I did the first thing that most artists do. Just want to go full time and just let that be your only job and just want to just only be known for your gift. So I kind of quit my job a little bit and just wanted to only be a poet. But then I started having hard times. So I literally had to humble myself and go get a job. I started looking for a regular job. But I was ambitious. So I was like, let me go down to Coble Hall. There was a job fair. The NAACP was doing a job fair. So I said, let me catch the bus. Do you hear me? Let me catch the bus to the job fair. Now, this is somebody who was thinking they're going to change the world with their poetry.
How old were you?
At this point, I was 25.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, let me go down to the job fair. I go to the job fair, make some contacts, pass out the resume, have my business suit on. And then I'm like, okay, I'm at the Riverwalk. Let me just go sit at the river, I guess. And because I didn't have anything else to do. I'm sitting at the river in my business suit. And to my right was a group of artists just painting and talking. And they were talking about social consciousness. And I had literally just became socially conscious that year.
Okay.
Like a year ago, should I say. And I'm listening to them talk. And I just couldn't hold it anymore because I wanted to say something. And so I literally got up and I started saying, excuse me, pardon me, I know y'all don't know me, but I can't help but tell you, I hear your conversation. I'm very passionate about what you're talking about. Can I please share my thoughts? And they were like, in their 30s and 40s and 50s, and here I am, 25, want to add to their conversation to a group of strangers that are artists. And so I started sharing my thoughts, and they were really moved by what I was saying. So then the next thing that happened was, one of the artists said, "Do you paint?" I said, "No, I'm just a poet." He said, "I want to see what you would paint." So he gave me his palette, his paint, his brushes, set up an easel, and I'm in my business suit.
Really?
Yes, and I'm like, I'm very spontaneous. And
Oh, we can tell.
So I'm like, okay, I was up for the challenge. So I had never painted anything in my life. So what I did was I just painted something I used to draw when I was a kid in elementary school. Like, literally, it's coming back to me, some of the things I used to draw in art class. And here I have a beautiful painting. And they were like, oh, we want you to come paint with us. We want you to come down to the river and paint with us. So I told you I was looking for a job.
Right. And
they said, I think if you do some painting, give it a couple of weeks, and you'll be able to sell some of your paintings. So I'm like, okay. So
give it a couple of weeks.
Yeah. I know, right? Because he said I was a natural. So I go back down to the river, and I get there. Now, this particular artist, he was a professor at CCS, the College for Creative Studies. and his other friend, they all had been painting like 20, 30 years. So they had a lot of knowledge on painting.
Mm-hmm.
So when I get down there, I'm thinking I'm just going to paint what I want to paint.
Mm-hmm.
And they actually started trying to coach me on painting. When I didn't like that. I had an attitude problem at that time. So I didn't like them telling me what to do and telling me all these principles and rules. And so because my mind was just offended and, I'm a poet. I want to express myself. I want to paint. I said, I'm not coming back down there.
Uh-huh.
So after 2 days, I literally told my mama, I said, I am going down in history as the artist with the shortest career. But then I went back. That's another long story. But I went back down, and then it actually grew my character as a person to spend that summer painting with them. So that's how I ended up being an artist.
How long did it take you before you sold a painting?
Literally about 2 weeks. Like, seriously, like maybe even a week.
Right down there on the waterfront?
Mm-hmm. Yes. People, as I was painting, people were, wanting to buy things I wasn't even done with. It blew my mind.
Wow.
So that is how so after I had like a series, I found out it was a series. After I had a series of paintings, I was standing by the Riverwalk. I was standing at the Detroit River, and I looked at the water, and I just said, the sky is not the limit. The sky is not the limit. Because I said the sky was the limit when I became a poet. Now I have this other talent I didn't know about.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, the sky is not the limit. And that's how my first poetry book got its title.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
Yes.
So, and so you had the sky is not the limit.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had from hatred to healing.
Yes.
I love that.
Yes.
And
Amen.
those of you who can see the H's that's on her chest, it's from hatred to healing. And if you see it's a black H coming into the white H to bring them both together to complete the letter. And that's from the racial reconciliation of bringing us all together.
Yes.
And even though here in the United States, we seem to have this divide, you have people like us that feel as if that divide is totally unnecessary because we truly need to act as one.
Yes.
Amen.
And there's more issues between the black and white, it seems like, than anything else.
Yeah. We don't like compete because some people compete with pain.
No.
But we literally do have some deep wounds.
We do.
Yeah.
We have some deep wounds that need to be taken care of. You can't put a Band-Aid over it.
No.
Yes.
You know, they need to be healed
Yes.
Amen.
from the inside out.
Yes.
And so many people are so hurt, and I know we talk about traumas and things that we have in life, but you have people who are walking around with hurt for something that happened to our ancestors.
Yeah.
And that's a hurt that I can't hold on to. I was one of the people who fortunately utilized Ancestry.com years ago.
Wow.
Before it became popular.
Wow.
Yeah.
I found that my family came from Edisto Island, South Carolina, as slaves. I found the plantation that they were slaves on,
Wow.
and I took a trip there.
Wow.
Me and my daughter. And that was healing for me
Yes.
because that made me realize the reality of, had they not made it here,
Yes.
had they not fought and survived,
Yes.
I wouldn't be here.
Amen.
And that's what
I wouldn't be here.
That's what my father's from, South Carolina too. So,
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. So
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
My family is the Bailey family.
Wow.
I would not be here had it not been for those strong generational roots.
Yes.
Amen.
And then I went on to do Ancestry.com and found out that I'm from the Ghana, Togo area.
Wow.
73%
Wow.
African American. So it's strong.
Yes.
It's strong.
Yes.
But,
DNA.
my mother's family, my father's family, you still got those Caucasian roots.
Yes.
I have relatives who are dark skinned with blue eyes. And that's just, it's in the genetic pool.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have a granddaughter. She was born with her blue eyes. Hers changed from blue to green to gray and everything.
Wow.
Doctors question. That's because I carry a recessive blue eye gene and her
Wow.
mother's Caucasian.
Wow.
You know, so, and we all have recessive genes.
Yes.
So when you talk about from hatred to healing and putting black and white together, our blood is all flowing through each other's veins.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
It really is.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
You know, and that's why I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
We gotta love each other. We
Yeah,
gotta
See,
get along.
that reminds me of a conversation I had. I went to a speakers conference
Mm-hmm.
last month, and someone had a valid point, but it still needed some guidance.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things he said was he didn't like how I used the word racial reconciliation,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a common question, because they say that how can we reconcile if we never basically been conciled? Like, to reconcile is to like repair, and we've always been this way. And I validated what he said in terms of, I understand your point of view if you look at humanity
Mm-hmm.
from those inches in the timeline.
Mm-hmm.
But we cannot look at, or should I say, we cannot erase the millennials of history of humanity before this nation was established, or any nation was established.
Mm-hmm.
So it's reconciliation, because when you look at, not from the standpoint of the nation, but the standpoint of creation, we have to really broaden. We really have to broaden. And I know it's hard.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's hard. When I was in a dark place, because I thank God for the joy that y'all talked about today, but it came after healing.
Mm-hmm.
It came after deliverance. And when I say deliverance, I mean taking me from hatred to healing.
Yes.
Like somebody delivering a package from one place to the next place. It was a journey in between, because there was a time when I lost my joy. I lost my frown. So during that time, I got a frown.
You had a frown. You
Yeah,
lost that smile.
I lost that smile. But it is true. I did lose my frown.
Well, that's good.
I came back around. But when I was in that dark place, the best way for me to describe it is having tunnel vision, only seeing part of the picture. In my case, it was the problem. And I studied that problem for a long time. Having tunnel vision in a wide landscape. So I was missing the full equation. And when I looked at it from that standpoint, it was, in my mind, you might as well thought human beings started in the 1600s, in the 1500s.
Mm-hmm.
So I understand how people can think, well, it's not reconciliation, but it is. It is, because mankind did not start 400 or 500 years ago.
No, but I look at it, when I look at your racial reconciliation, I'm looking at it from a standpoint as of today and with self.
Yes.
Amen.
And I'm talking about each individual person, because there are so many of us, and I say us speaking of humans.
Yes.
There's so many of us that need to reconcile what's happened to us,
Yes.
and reconcile what's happening to us and those around us.
Amen.
And that's what she's really
And
coming
that
to
is
discover.
right.
Yeah,
That is
yeah,
reconciliation.
Yeah. Because
Yes.
how can you love your brother if you don't love yourself, or if you have so many broken issues with yourself? So that's why so many relationships right now are so damaged, because there's so many people who have so many things that's inside of them. Even these people who are going out and shooting people. I'm like, you're shooting people you don't even know.
Don't know.
So you have so much pain and so much things going on inside of you that needs to be worked on and fixed, that is causing you to be irrational.
And see, to me, a lot of the stuff that's been going on, and yeah, we get deep sometimes too, but some of the stuff that's going on is coming from like that underground cesspool, and people are listening to
Yes.
all of the negativity.
Yes.
You know, from that cesspool, they're listening to the negativity, and what was inside of their minds that may have been a thought, but they wouldn't have acted upon. It's like that negativity is making them boil over.
Yeah.
And they're starting to look at people, and they're truly thinking that something is being taken from them that belongs to them.
Yes.
And then they're acting on it by going out shooting people.
Acting out.
And the thing, what it really boils down to is
This is an equal opportunity society. Nobody owns anything here or shouldn't own anything here. You know, if it shouldn't matter if you're black, white, Hispanic, Indian, Armenian, or whatever you are, wherever you come from, it shouldn't matter. You know, if we all have the same credentials, we should all be able to be eligible for the same job.
Yes.
Mexicans aren't coming here taking anything from us. Because if they got the job, it was theirs. It wasn't yours.
Yeah.
You know?
We do have some inequalities to keep working
We
on.
do.
We have
do.
some inequities to work on.
But not enough to kill somebody.
No.
over.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand what
Yeah.
you're saying.
Yes.
Not enough to kill
Yes.
somebody over.
Mm-hmm.
You have to get past that. There are things that I get upset about. I get upset about the trucking industry because that affects me.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, I get upset about that. You know, the trucking industry where it used to be a load was $4 a mile,
Yes.
and now somebody wants to give you $1.50 from it.
Whoa.
Because people have gotten into the industry that don't know the industry, and their thought is, well, I'm gonna underbid so that I can get this, and they're running the rates down. But my
they're
thing
hurting
is,
themselves, too.
right? My thing is, learn what you're doing.
Yes.
Become educated within yourself. So that way you won't be attacked
Yes.
because you will know the right way to go about things.
Yes.
I guess
Yes.
that's just the only way that I can put it right now.
Well, I wanted to piggyback back on what Ben said a couple minutes ago.
Go on and piggyback on Ben.
Well, we were talking about how people have unprocessed pain
Yes.
and unprocessed trauma.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember when I was in that dark tunnel, Lord have mercy, of hopelessness. You know, the dark tunnel of hopelessness. Not only did I not have hope about society and that we will never have unity and that this was our prognosis, should I say, as a nation, that it's terminal, we gonna die and it's gonna be over. When I was in that dark place of hopelessness, I also had hopelessness in other areas of my life.
Okay.
I had hopelessness in my family situation. It was a lot of estrangement going on, a lot of elephants in the room, skeletons in the closet, things swept under the rug that wasn't being solved. So it was hard for me. If a family cannot get it together, how is a nation
Gonna get it
going to
together.
get it together?
Yes.
You know,
I want to say preach.
we can hang now. I will.
Because she
I
does.
will,
I know.
will.
It's like preach.
And so my hopelessness was being fed by the brokenness of my family. Do you hear me?
Okay.
And when I asked the Lord to work on me, start with me. And I started forgiving my parents. I started making amends. Literally, it gave me so much hope in what can happen in other families, what can happen in other communities.
Yes.
What can happen in, like, literally, we cannot look at the future through our soul wounds. I mean, we would give up. It would be hopeless if we can't trust God with our lives and with our family. It seems irrational to say we can heal our nation, but we can trust him with our lives. We can trust him with our families. And so that's one of the things that differentiates my message from a lot of the other racial healing, racial reconciliation messages, because I know what it's like to have hopelessness in multiple areas of life. I no longer approach this solution just with one mission, racial healing. We have to heal the whole person. We can't tell people or force or provoke people to have difficult conversations with complete strangers about racial anxiety. They don't even look their mama in the face.
That's true.
They don't even look their husband in the face. They can't even connect. It is unrealistic. It is irresponsible. So I hope to help people heal and mature and grow in their own personal lives, and let what happens in society be an extension of that.
That's deep. It's real.
Amen.
It's real. You know, Alicia's husband has a shirt on, and it says argument is crossed out, and then it says conversation in green, which, you know, green is life.
Amen.
And then it's got her hatred to healing symbol underneath, and that says a lot of what you said. We need to heal, but we also need to have that open conversation with ourselves and then move about, you know, and that says a lot, you know, and you to acknowledge where you've been, what you've been through to get where you are. Are you doing like life coaching or anything like that right now?
Oh my goodness.
Is that a part of what you're doing?
Mentor.
No, because I'm seriously that when I'm listening to you talk, I figured, okay, now she's got another job that I don't know about. She's a life coach. Because am I right? Doesn't she sound like a life coach?
Well, she does lecture and go speak to the youth. She did
Yes.
a wonderful job last month.
I'm a keynote speaker. So I do share a lot of the things and the milestones that help me on my journey. That's helping a lot of lives. But my mentor, Shannon Etheridge, she told me, you need to get your life coaching degree because people are going to want more from you. So you just confirmed something.
They are going to want more.
Yes.
Amen.
They are. And it's just so wonderful. But I want to tell you one thing that I've enjoyed here. I've enjoyed listening to you, but I've also enjoyed watching your husband listen to you as if it's the first time he's heard you talk. And I know that it's not. I know that it's not, but I could also see him hurting for you. At one point when your face, I could see that you went back into that moment momentarily, and I saw him hurting for you at that time.
Yes.
That's love.
Ooh, see, now you about to make me do it. Now you about to make me get even more transparent.
That's love.
Okay, so I talked to you about that dark tunnel
Yes.
of hopelessness. So I had a lot of trauma in my childhood that I tried to face the wrong way. I'm going to be developing a talk on facing the past the wrong way. And that came from just my experience of trying to confront my past, one, without faith. There was a time in my life where I left the church. I had the church hurt wounds and, just left the church and thought I was just leaving my church home and was going to find another church. End up leaving the Christian faith and became an atheist. That's a whole nother story.
Okay.
So during that time, I started confronting people in my family about things, and it was too much for my mind. I mean, I had lost my job, lost my home. It was just a series of losses and series of stresses. I literally lost my mind.
Okay.
I lost my mind. I had a break from reality, trying to face the past the wrong way. Now, it's not my fault that I was traumatized. It's not my fault that I was abused. And it's not my fault. A lot of things was not my fault.
Right.
A lot of you listening out there, a lot of things is not your fault.
No.
But I hadn't been coached on how to make these repairs. So I just did it the best way I knew how. And it was in an unhealthy way. First, I wasn't praying. I did it with hopelessness. I did it just from a confrontational point of view. And it was at a horrible time in my life because, like I said, I had a lot of multiple stressors. So I ended up losing my mind. Now, Ben knew me for 10 years before this happened.
Okay.
So thank God this was not his introduction to me.
Okay.
He saw me just thrive as a young woman, grow and blossom into a wonderful young woman. So we reconnected. It's a whole nother story. You might have to have us back on some.
Okay, we're good.
I just reinvited myself.
That's all right, because I was already ready for the invite. I'm like, okay, we got half an hour. Let's go. Come on.
Okay, we good. Okay,
Yeah, we
okay.
good.
So we we had reconnected. We there was a time we was not connected. Then we
Now I'm asking for ages here, because that way people kind of get
okay,
a
I'm
gauge.
37.
She's just a baby.
I just turned 50.
I
July
was
31st.
27 when we got
Okay.
married. He was 39.
Okay,
So he 13 years older than me.
that's all right. You have the maturity level, so you probably needed it.
Mm.
Look at her.
So, okay, so let me speed this story up.
Mm-hmm.
I started healing more and started repairing myself. Well, not myself, because with the help of the Lord, of course, my support system. I went to therapy, went to counseling, all that stuff, even took medication. And then after we got married, more stress came. I lost my mind again. And I'm like, we were only married 2 years. And I ended up voluntarily going into a psychiatric hospital.
Okay.
And when I tell you, it was my first time having a visitor at the hospital. And I was ashamed, like, oh my gosh, I'm a newlywed. And my husband's about to visit me in this mental hospital. Lord have mercy. So it was a horrible experience where I was treated like a criminal.
Mm-hmm.
I have a whole another story about that, but so I had to get in a single file line and go into this cafeteria
For visiting time.
Yeah,
They
for
only have
visiting time.
only twice a week.
Yeah, twice
Really?
a week.
Okay.
Don't get me started.
Mm-hmm.
And I was I didn't want to look him in the eye. But I had to because he came to see me.
Right.
So I literally lifted my head up, looked at him, and that same look you talking about today, like it was the first time he saw me, that is the look he gave me when he saw me in that mental hospital. And I just thank God. Thank God.
You knew
I knew what?
that he loved you.
Oh, I knew
And
he
that
loved
he was
me.
there.
I
No,
knew
that
he-
he was going to be there.
Oh, yeah, but that was the first time that ever happened. So
Really?
Yes, I didn't know he was. Who knows when they get married, their husband's gonna visit them in a mental hospital?
No, but the thing is, when he came, for one,
Yeah,
there's a lot of men out here in today's world that may not have even come.
that's true.
And then let alone to come, and when you look up and all you see is love looking back at you.
Mm-hmm.
That's deep, Ben. Give
That's
me
my
some.
give it to him. Give it to him.
Yes.
Thank you, Lord.
But I bring that up because people see my joy today, and they think it's out of ignorance. They think it's just, ignorance is bliss. No. The truth is bliss. Knowing who I am in God, knowing what God has called me to do, knowing who God is, what He says about all of us. We are made in His image. He knows us. He has a plan for us. I could go on and on and on. The truth is bliss. So when people see me smiling, oh, that's Alicia Joy Davis. She's always like this. Now I am always like this. Oh, she's not afraid. Oh, she's not worried. She doesn't know what it's like to be depressed. This is an overcomer. This is not an outsider.
Do you know that most people who have the joy that you have been through the storm, because
Tell 'em.
the joy is on the other side.
Tell them.
And a lot of people don't realize what roads it take to get there.
Amen.
So the last thing that I would have ever thought is that there's ignorance behind that joy, because I know to get where you are, it takes a lot.
Thank you,
People are
Jesus.
born with joy,
Mm-hmm.
but in order to maintain it, that's a journey.
Amen.
That's a journey.
Life is going to take you through some things.
Life is going to take you through some stuff. We were just talking before we started about just this year alone. I've had so many health issues this year, but you know what? I'm fighting it. I'm
Yes.
conquering it, and I keep on going.
Yes.
I'm going to lose people. I'm going to gain people. But no matter what happens, I keep going.
Yes.
And you would not have that joy if you didn't keep going.
Amen.
And that time in the mental institution, I'm quite sure that was a time necessary, not just for you, but for those who came after you, for you to help them heal too.
Yes.
Amen.
Yes. Yes.
Amen.
Yes.
Am I correct?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Are you talking about the people who read my work or the people that was in the mental institution?
No, people that were there probably gained from you.
Yes.
But the people afterwards that throughout your life,
Okay.
that episode of your life has probably healed so many people
Yeah.
because you've taken that experience and you shared it.
Amen.
So they don't have to be ashamed of the fact that maybe they were there, or maybe they're going through what you've been through and they went to get help for themselves as a result. So we never
Breaking
know
those stigmas.
what our experiences are for, because they're not always just for us.
Oh no, that would be such a waste. As a matter of
Yeah.
fact, if I went through all this just for myself, I would really be mad. I would really be mad. That would be a waste. That
Yes.
would totally be a waste. Yeah.
I've had so many experiences in my life that I could probably write an encyclopedia of experiences. But I know that each and every one of my experiences, negative or positive, I've helped someone through their storm
Amen.
because I've been there.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
And,
Yes.
you know, people say, well, you've had so much happen to you. It makes me wonder, is this real? Is this real? Heck yeah.
Yes.
I've been through it. I'm one of those people that he say, hey, she's strong. She can handle it because I need Michelle to help this person.
Wow.
Yes.
And I said, I think I finally reached a point to where now he said, thank you. You've helped so many. Now let me send those who's going to help you.
Wow.
Amen.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you're one of those people
Thank you, Lord.
that's there to help others. You're an empath. And you I know, I feel it. And I see it. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I could, like feel people.
Yeah.
Their pain.
What,
Yeah.
I was gonna say that's even like that March 4th movement that
Yes.
you went to. That
Her
all,
March 4th movement.
That all came out of her head.
Yes, it did.
Put all that together, the specific people and what they were gonna do, and
Do we want to talk about March 4th on the air yet?
Yes.
Then
yes.
let's start talking.
Woo!
We got 20 minutes. Let's
Okay,
talk about
okay.
March 4th.
Thank you, Lord. Okay. March 4th is a new movement that's been years, decades, centuries in the making. I'm just standing on the shoulders of giants.
All right.
It came to me in 2017 to have each March 4th be a racial healing holiday. We honor Martin Luther King's legacy in January. In February, we celebrate Black History Month. And I know, like I mentioned from past experience, when you view that past, you have to make an intentional step to remember it without reliving it. So the Lord gave me the vision after we celebrate Martin Luther King, after we honor Black History Month, we need to march forward. We need to march forth on each March 4th.
Yes.
And so I had the vision for it to be a racial healing holiday. And right now we live in Pontiac, Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to start with home. I'm from Detroit, everybody. I'm from Detroit. Went to Mumford High School, graduated, but I live in Pontiac with Ben now. So I wanted to start with where I live. And I worked with the city council, went to several city council meetings, wrote a resolution. And this year, Pontiac, Michigan,
Yes.
the mayor signed the declaration. The city council voted unanimously. It has been established. March 4th is a racial healing holiday.
I was there.
She
I was there.
She was at our first March. see, the celebration you went to was before it became a holiday. Because
Okay.
I had it made up in my mind. We doing this regardless to who.
It was nice. I enjoyed it so much.
Amen.
Yes.
Amen. So what we want to do is we have a vision to help America reach racial reconciliation in our lifetime. We really do not have an excuse to keep procrastinating this change.
Mm-hmm.
To say, oh, it won't happen in our lifetime. What we're also saying is, I'll leave that for my grandchildren or my great-grandchildren. That is ridiculous. If we don't take a shift in our trajectory now, they won't have what we're dealing with. They'll have even worse, if you can imagine it. And what character skills, what maturity levels, what's going to just pop up 20, 40 years from now that we can't use right now? So I want to help people reconcile with their past, reconcile with their families, so we can have more faith in reconciling our nation.
Yes, I love it. March 4th, Martin Luther King Day, January, February, Black History Month, and we're gonna march forth to the rest of the racial reconciliation within the year on March 4th. I love it. I love it. So that's something that, you know, I'm praying that it's going to be Pontiac and Detroit for 2020.
Well, hopefully, I want to have it a national holiday by 2020.
Okay.
I'm working on it.
Okay.
So Detroit, Chicago, Indiana,
Indianapolis, Atlanta,
yeah.
Yes,
So,
Texas, Oklahoma.
I got the steps needed to take to make it a national holiday. So, yes, that's the vision. That's the vision.
I told y'all she's amazing, didn't I? So Ben knew you. I got to talk about the two of them real quick. So Ben knew you as a young lady in church. How did you two come together? Ben, how did you know she was the one for you?
Just look at it. Just look at it.
Look, she like, get up to the mic. Tell them, I want you to speak up loud and
Get
clear.
deep in there. Get deep in there.
So, tell us, Ben.
Like when what you said also, God will allow you to go through some things. I went through some things prior to us getting together, and it allowed me to slow down and look around and say, hey, I want to be with somebody who I believe will be a blessing to me. And there she was. So God let us go through our own storms and then meet each other and to be a blessing to each other.
That's awesome.
Amen.
And I have to ask, so when you went to visit her that day for the first time and she couldn't look at you and she looked up.
That was my baby.
That was your baby.
And I was glad she was all right because she was in a bad way, and God blessed her through that.
Amen.
And you loved her through it.
Yes. I think she shared, what was it? The fact that after we got married, your life was just filled with so much peace and so much this stability. It messed with you after being through so much trauma.
Oh, yes. Woo. See, that takes me to why I cannot stand it right now when people say, I'm keeping it real. I'm keeping it real. I'm keeping it real. I'm keeping it real. First of all, and I was speaking to a group of teenage female inmates last month, and I was telling them, let's talk about what it means to keep it real. When somebody tells you that I'm keeping it real, and the only thing that they are talking about is things that are negative, things that are, mistakes, when they fall short, when they do something they don't want to do, when it's just basically something be lower than what they aim for. I'm keeping it real. I'm keeping it real. So basically what we're saying is what's real is not our best. What's real is less than our potential. So after growing up in a place where keeping it real meant being abused, keeping it real meant financial lack and poverty, keeping it real meant just generational patterns of dysfunction, keeping it real meant all of this toxicity. So I literally, and I know I'm not alone, believed reality was chaos. So when I get married, when I actually, because I was going to, I started healing and coming out of things even before we got married, which helped me to get married to a healthy person. And I started living with him and, as husband and wife. And it was just so peaceful. It was the first peaceful home I lived in. I had a hard time adjusting to that reality. See, if keeping it real is dysfunction, then surely this is not real where I'm at, you know? Especially if I was taught that love, joy, and peace is in heaven. Mm-hmm. Love, joy, and peace is on the by and by. That's on the other side. So, long story short, because I know we got to wrap the show up, I had to adjust to reality. And I had to learn that love is real. Joy is real. Peace is real. Kindness is real.
Right
so,
here.
Yes. So I can say we'll keep it 100. I'll go with keep it 100 because fear does exist. Worry does exist. You know, we can have victory over those things. But that keeping it real thing got down to my subconscious to the point where I didn't believe the blessing that God had given me.
You have been blessed so much.
Thank you, Lord.
That you had to get to a point of acceptance.
Yes, yes. And it's real. It's real. People may look at us and say, oh, you know, they don't go through things. Y'all just heard this man visit me in a mental hospital. So.
And just think about all the medical things and went
yes,
through.
I almost died.
Died right before we got married.
I almost died right before they got married. I had blood clots in both my lungs. You know, caught myself going on birth control, so we didn't have a baby right before we got married. I mean, we have been through storms, but that smile is real. His smile is real because we both have a deep relationship with the Lord individually and collectively. So it's all real. It's all real. That's 100. That's keeping it 100.
You know what? If you tell me a couple that has made it to the altar, that's made it through a year, 10 years, 20 years, 40 years, 50 years, so on, and they don't have arguments, they don't have issues, they don't have storms, they don't have tornadoes, tsunamis, and and everything else. Yes. I'm going to tell you, that's somebody who's not keeping it 100.
Okay. Yeah.
They keeping it real.
Wow.
Yeah, because that's what relationships are about, but you have to have the conversation.
Yes.
After the argument, so that you can keep it 100 and can let that love keep going.
Yes.
And that's what a lot of people don't understand about relationships today. They shouldn't be disposable. Just like our feelings and thoughts should not be disposable. We have to respect each other, and that's what your hatred to healing is about. Respect.
Yes.
It's about mutual respect. Racial reconciliation is about respect.
Yes.
I was listening to Detroit Today. Ben is like my research director. He makes sure that I'm up on the latest articles, interviews, just the latest conversations. And we were listening to.
All right, Ben.
Yeah. So he had me listen to one of these local radio stations on the Detroit Today. Was at the Detroit Today show today on WDET, and there was a caller. He was a Caucasian, and he was confessing that he had some racist things going on in his mind, and he was literally searching for a space where he can heal and grow and improve. And one of the other guys that was on the show, I think he might have been African-American male, he said, basically, I'm paraphrasing, we're raising all this awareness so people can know that racism exists and hatred exists, and it's working. People want to change. Now are we going to embrace those who are reaching out and say, okay, it's me. Okay, I want to be a part of progress. I want to be a part of the healing. I don't want to be left behind. I want to change this generational pattern in my family. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? And I want to help people have healthier conversations.
I want to help too, because that's what we need.
Yes.
We need spaces for that.
Yes,
We
safe
do.
space to share.
To share.
Because that's what the issue they were talking about is that if I share with you the ugly things I've thought in my head, will you just judge me and put a mark on me? And he said a mark of judgmental or racism.
Yeah,
big R on
like
your
the
head.
scarlet letter.
Yes, yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
where it stops. But no,
No.
it's like this is who I am. This is how I felt. But where do we go from here?
We need to find a place for racial reconciliation conversations where there won't be any attacks.
Well, I'm working on it. I actually
Yeah.
launched a nonprofit called Friends of Reconciliation. Our acronym is FOR4. And I tell people we have to be louder about we stand for than what we are against.
We are, yes.
And so we're actually seeking fundraising for our initiatives right now. If our website is weare4.love, and we are building this curriculum. I'm working with Dr. Robert Martin, who is a professor, or organizational leadership professor at Oakland University.
Okay.
Like, Lord have mercy, we are working on just giving people tools, and I can give you just three. I have 5 tips on how to have a constructive conversation.
Okay.
And they all rhyme because I'm a poet and I love to rhyme, and it makes it easier to remember. But I'll give you the first 3 tips, and I'll just shoot through them.
Come on.
The first tip is when you come across the racial narrative, and this goes even in marriage and friendships, but we're talking about racial healing. The first step, hesitate.
Okay.
All right, now you know the Bible say be slow to speak. This right here is so powerful because now you're gathering yourself and you're listening. And it's important to listen because the next step after you hesitate is to validate. Now, I got this through some of the marriage counseling that me and Ben went through.
Okay.
Where you just sit and you repeat what the person says to you, whether you agree with it or not, and let them know, I'm with you, I'm hearing you, because we're going somewhere. This conversation, it's a journey. We have an objective, which a big part of this is having your mind focused on the objective. So after you hesitate and you validate, you let them know, I heard you, this is what you're saying. Am I hearing you right? You got to check to say, am I hearing you right? Yes, that's what you think. Okay, now, after you validate, the next step is participate. Share your point of view. And there's 2 other steps that we're going to teach in the workshop on how we can take the conversation, take the narrative from hatred to healing, from a place of hopelessness to hope. I mean, we have so much misunderstandings, and it's just tools that we can use to help us get through. So we are for.love.
Okay. We are for
Love.
FOR. We are for FOR. .love.
Yes.
Okay. And I want to tell everyone, I know this has been great. We are going to have Alicia and Ben back in September. And because this is part 1, there's so much more here. There's so much more here because we really didn't get to the poetry and the books and there's so much here that I would love to have you guys come back. We're going to book a day in September to get you back.
Thank you.
And we have only a couple of minutes, so I'm going to ask you to take us out with a poem.
Okay, a couple minutes. I do want to say you can go to aliciadavis.com to see my books and poetry and T-shirts and all that.
Yes.
That's
I'm sorry about that.
ALICEADAVIS. And so the poem I'm going to go out is one of the ones that I start my shows with when I'm performing my spoken word. God is healing the world, one country at a time. He's healing the countries, one community at a time. He's healing the communities, one family at a time. He's healing the families, one relationship at a time. He's healing the relationships, one person at a time, and he is using me to heal the people with just one poem at a time.
Amen.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If you have any questions for Alicia, for Ben, for me, just leave the questions at lovelogical.com, info@lovelogical.com. You have Alicia Davis, ALICA
That's
ALICEADAVIS.com. And Ben, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
This is their date night, so I appreciate being a part of it. And I will see you all next week, Tuesday. And I have a very special guest that is going to come with us, and you're going to learn about etiquette next week. See you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.